Hey everybody, it's Mr. Mikesell offering you a lesson here on your email. Now I am going to use Google email, which is known as Gmail, to handle this lesson. So it may be a little different on your particular email depending on what email service you use. Some of the different ones that are out there include like Yahoo, Google, Hotmail. MSN has one, although MSN and Hotmail seem to be owned by the same. Live.com has email. There's all sorts of free email accounts out there. Some of you may have, through like Verizon or Comcast, something free at home, and that's perfectly normal as well. First off, I'm going to go over just basically the structure of an email address. You've seen these before. I'm just going to break it down here. It's always going to be the username. So, professionally speaking, it is best to have a situation like your first initial, last name. I'm going to change my font from Hurry Up to Arial. Something like David.Mikesell, D.Mikesell, something that's your initials. That is probably the most appropriate thing to have for your username. You'll see things like Happy Monkey 23 or something like that. Those are not appropriate. Things like that are not appropriate. Then you have the @ sign, which connects the username to the host site.com, .net. The schools is portage.k12.in.us. Those are the main, connected to the main server that hosts your email. So just understand that it's the username at thehostsite.com. That is the email address. And we can put that over here. This is known as the email address. The structure of the email address. Pretty simple. You've seen this before, lots in your life. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to switch out of my Google account here, using one of my alternative ones to do some of these demonstrations. Again, depending on your email, yours may be different. So if you do not have an email, you are more than welcome and encouraged to sign up for one for free. If you sign up with Google, I believe they do shoot you a text message, so you want to be careful with that. Yahoo might, Live and Hotmail I don't think do. So just be careful about that. So you sign in, and we're going to go to Gmail. It's going to load. Hopefully here pretty soon. It's going to keep loading. And what you see is the basic structure to your email. It will not always look like this, but you'll be able to always find the same elements. Just a lot of different things here. This is kind of like my filter email where when I just send some stuff, it sends it. So I'm going to go over, it's always going to be usually found somewhere on your left-hand side. These main ones. Inbox, that is where incoming messages come into. So usually when you check your email, that's the first place you go to find an email sent to you. Pretty obvious. Starred. Google. This is a feature on Google. We're going to talk about starred and flagged a little bit later, so just hang on to that. Important. Again, that's another thing we could check mark. I believe it's this other piece right here. Yep. See, this conversation has been marked as important. So that's under the same concept of flagging that we're going to go over a little bit later. Sent mail, any email that I have sent, which I have not sent one yet, but we will, can be sent out. That's where you check your sent mail. So for example, if you email yourself something, it's going to be in two places then. It's going to be in your sent folder and your inbox. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I have to keep track of my time here because I'm probably going to go over 2 videos. Then you got your drafts. Anytime that you start composing, you can save to a draft. Your email will typically have all these things. Down below, I think it has some other options here. It should drop down to some other options. Should be like a junk folder. A junk or spam folder. That is where, now, hooray, no spam here. If you were to check my other email account, there'd be a ton of spam. This is where advertisements from common third parties that send out a bunch of emails wind up. Like, send 1 million yen to this kid in Tanzania. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. So, you got your trash or your recycling. That's where you go to put your deleted stuff. And then there's just some other ones that depending on your email host that they use. So that's something to be aware of. The main ones we're going to focus on today. I'm just making you aware that junk mail is where the folder goes, inbox is where your main mail goes, and your sent is where when you send something out, it goes to. Inbox is in, sent is out. If you have any questions on it, you can also Google this. So we're going to go over the basic structure of a composed email. So I'm going to go to compose. This is where I begin to write an email. Here's how a new compose works. Google has it a little different, but it's still the same thing. I'm going to bring up all my options here. The one you're most familiar with is to. To is the direct person you are sending your email to. So I am actually going to send it to myself. Mr. Mikesell 72, that's my username, and the host site is gmail.com. I'm going to send an email to myself, which you can do. These other two you have probably seen but don't know what they mean. CC and BCC. These are on the quiz, so pay attention. CC stands for carbon copy. For those who don't know what carbon copy is, think about the discipline referral forms here at school, where you see they have a white copy, a yellow copy, and a pink copy, and you rip off the 3 copies and hand them out to the respective parties. A carbon copy is that's exactly what it is. It's sending a copy of the email to somebody that is not directly to the email. So you can put multiple email addresses in the to line. I'll also send this to my... no, I'm not going to. I don't want to reveal too much. But let's say then I also would send a copy of this email to myself. So I'm also going to send myself a copy of the email. So I'll probably actually end up receiving 2 copies. Or will I? So, you'll see in a second what I mean. To email is who you're directly sending to. Carbon copy, the person that you sent to can see that you sent them a copy of the email, but it's not directly to them. This third option can be tricky. It's called blind carbon copy. You still send a copy of the email to the user in that spot, but neither the to person or the carbon copy person can see that it was sent there. So I'm going to send me a third copy and see what happens. So we'll see what happens here in a second. Because I have never done this before. This should be fun. In the subject, I just clicked on an area known as the subject. That is the first thing that the person will usually see when they go to open the email. I'm going to type, hello class. And in the body, I'm going to review, since I seem to have paused there a little bit. To is the person that the email is directed towards or meant for. CC stands for carbon copy, and this is the person or individual or people. It can be plural. Both can be. The person or people that will receive a copy, the other people will know they did, and the email in itself is not directly meant for them. Not to be confused with the blind carbon copy. That is blind carbon copy, of course. And the person or people that will receive a copy that the other people will not know they did, and the email itself is not directly meant for them. So case example here, let's say you're having an issue with a coworker, you want to fill your boss in on it, and you don't want the coworker to know that the boss is being filled in. Putting your boss's email in the blind carbon copy so they can see your correspondence is acceptable. Or if you're sending out a bunch of emails and you don't want, there's people you're sending them out to that hate each other, you could put all their emails in the blind carbon copy and it'll work. You could actually leave the to and CC blank as long as one of these three have a email address in it. It'll work. So, any questions? I'm going to check my time here real quick. I think we're going to pause it, and I'm going to pick up here on a second video.